Let's do this. Hello, people. Another beautiful day. Yep. Hope your five senses work, health, and strength is good. What? What's up, gamers? Listen to this. Got a nice little article here. Found this on the Gaming Bible here. .co.uk. Says this. PlayStation says it can't survive losing Call of Duty. PlayStation says it can't survive losing Call of Duty. To me, that's a bunch of nonsense. Because Sony got their own shooters. You know, the Call of Resistance, Killzone, and SOCOM. Yep. Listen to this. Let's see if I can get this here. Get out of there. Oh no, you don't. Okay, here we go. Sony PlayStation says that it can't survive losing Call of Duty, which sounds a little dramatic. Microsoft made the first step to acquire Call of Duty publisher Activision Blizzard back in January 2022 for an eye-whopping $68.7 billion. And it seems by no means a straightforward process. As reported by Eurogamer in the latest twist to the tale, a document filed by the UK Competition and Market Authority, Sony says that it cannot protect against the loss of Call of Duty. PlayStation has been around for many years than Call of Duty, and both will likely be around for many years to come. Both entities are certainly large enough to exist without each other, in my opinion. However, it seems that Sony is more concerned with the power Microsoft will gain by acquiring Activision Blizzard and owning the rights to Call of Duty. There's little denying that if Microsoft acquires Activision Blizzard, it will give Xbox a major advantage, especially when it comes to Game Pass. Though I doubt the survival of PlayStation would depend on it. What's more, Microsoft has reportedly offered Sony a 10-year deal to keep Call of Duty on PlayStation, which was apparently declined. Says Sony Incorporated Entertainment recent development experience of a shooter / battle royale games is limited, and its main active shooter franchise is significantly less impactful than Call of Duty. Sony wrote, Destiny, Sony main active first-person shooter franchise, had only redacted percentage of gameplay hours and redacted percentage of gameplay spent of Call of Duty in 2022. Following the claim made by Sony, Microsoft responded by stating, Sony position must be seen for what it is, a self-serving attempt to protect its dominant market position rather than one founded on genuine concern regarding its continued access to COD, which it could have secured months ago. They could have secured it months ago? It says Sony response was then reiterated the importance of Call of Duty to PlayStation, claiming few franchises has endured and has significant in terms of PlayStation revenue and gameplay time as Call of Duty, and to create a rival would gamer allow chance of success. Hopefully one day Sony might revive the likes of Killzone or Resistance for PlayStation or even the PlayStation 6 so that it may become less reliant on COD franchises. Look, Sony, okay, remember everything I said about Call of Duty was true ever since I've been covering this. When I said what made Activision always been consistent with Call of Duty, and I've also said that, you know, so remember when I brought up SOCOM, Killzone, and Resistance. I said, how come I made a statement months ago saying how come Sony's shooters weren't as consistent as Call of Duty, and that's the key. You have to be consistent in this video game industry. And then there's EA with Battlefield, but then EA went to the European Union to challenge them over loot boxes when it came to Battlefront 2, and that was a big mistake on their part, and they paid a price for it, but they still made a Battlefield. And if you had looked at the trailer when they first announced it, it looked like Battlefield was a little off. It didn't have the same feel like the last Battlefield that they had. So Sony's trying to act like they don't have shooters. They have Battlefield. They have Resistance. They have SOCOM, and they have Killzone. So they're PlayStation saying that they can't survive without Call of Duty is a bunch of nonsense. Microsoft offered them a 10-year deal, and they declined it. Now you're coming out saying you want to block the Activision Blizzard deal. Microsoft has the power now to say well, we try to help you, but you didn't want our help. We gave you 3 years. You still couldn't tell us why the Activision Blizzard deal was bad. We gave you 10 years, and you still couldn't tell us why Activision Blizzard deal was bad. So we tried. We helped you. We did the best we could. We tried to help you, but you wouldn't listen. You didn't want our assistance. We gave Nvidia 10 years. They accepted it. We gave Nintendo 10 years. They accepted it. We gave you, Sony, 10 years, but you didn't accept it. Well, we can't help you. So now Microsoft, they have the power now. So Sony saying that it can't survive if it loses Call of Duty, is a bunch of nonsense, man. They got shooters. They got SOCOM. They got Killzone. They have Resistance. And then there's Battlefield, right? So I even talked about Gearbox. How comes they, how comes they're not consistent, with Activision with Call of Duty. So the name of the game is consistency. You have to be consistent in this video game industry. And one thing Activision Blizzard has done with Call of Duty, year in and year out, they always stay consistent. It was like Call of Duty World at War, then Modern Warfare 4, Modern Warfare 2, Modern Warfare 3, then it was Black Ops, then it was Advanced, then it was Ghost, then it was Black Ops 2, Black Ops 3, and then Black Ops 4, then it was World War 2, then it's Infinite Warfare, Modern Warfare 4 the remake, then they stumbled up on Warzone, and then Call of Duty split into a two-headed, so now Call of Duty is like a two-headed monster. So Activision has always been consistent with Call of Duty, and that's the name of the game now. You have to be consistent with these games. It's not like they were milking it for what it's worth. It's just like they realized they got a user base and they got to feed them, because they got Activision has 2 user bases, the Warzone user base and then the Call of Duty user base, because you got the Call of Duty with the story, the single player, the story, the single player, but you got multiplayer, right? But then you got Warzone, that's a battle royale, so you got 2 different bases, and Activision Blizzard has mastered the formula. They stay consistent with it. Whenever they drop a new Call of Duty, Warzone is there with a new update. So Activision has been consistent, and these developers that make shooters, if they want to survive in this industry, they have to be consistent, and then they'll see success. I mean, EA can still challenge. EA is still a rival EA without Battlefield is still a rival to Call of Duty. You know, all EA got to do is stay consistent with Battlefield, and they'll be and they'll get their momentum back if they stay consistent and stop messing with those crazy loot boxes. You know, Call of Duty still has a rival in this Battlefield, but you know, in this game industry, is consistency. Sony saying that they can't survive without Call of Duty is nonsense. They got a big user base. It's 94 to 96 to 4 in Japan, right? Worldwide is 70-30. And then what? Fourth quarter is what? 69-31. So Sony got a nice user base, a nice advantage over Xbox. I mean, Microsoft getting Activision Blizzard, Microsoft realized that Sony has a big user base. They have to stay competitive in this market if they want to maintain some relevancy. So Sony, on the other hand, they got a big user base, and they can survive without Call of Duty. All they got to do is stay consistent, you know. So them losing Call of Duty, it's not. I don't think it's not going to hurt them like they're trying to make it out to be. They're just mad that Microsoft beat them to the punch with this. That's all this comes down to. So, you know, Microsoft beat them, you know, and they should have stepped in when this whole situation happened, you know, like stepped in and figure out what's going on here, like, you know, what's really happening with Activision Blizzard. Why is all this problems happening? And I bet you if they were asking all those questions, then they probably would have found out that Activision Blizzard would be for sale, and then they could have grabbed them, you know. So you know, Sony should have stepped in, man, but they didn't, and you know, they paid a price, you know. But Microsoft tried to work with them. And you know, they refused it. Now they say they want to block the deal. So Microsoft is like, okay, well, we did the best we could. We tried to help you. You didn't want to accept our offer. Ain't nothing we can do now, you know. So, yeah. But other than that, man, Sony will survive because they have their franchises, you know. They have their exclusives that they can some of them they can revive, like Uncharted. They can revive Resistance. They can revive Killzone, and they can revive SOCOM. So Sony got shooters, man. You know, I think they got too caught up in Call of Duty. I think they got too caught up in Call of Duty, and was ignoring their shooters that they have, you know, when they were supposed to be, you know, keeping those games going, you know. But they didn't. When Activision Blizzard was going through their turmoil, they didn't think. To me, they didn't think that you could just swoop in and just purchase them. But Microsoft taught everybody, like, okay, look, when you see a studio going through problems, you find out what's going on, man. You don't turn a blind eye and be like, you know, like the studio don't matter. And Microsoft swooped in, beat everybody, because Activision is like this: Nintendo, Sony, Take-Two, Tencent, Amazon, Google, and of course Microsoft. So Activision Blizzard is up for grab. Anybody can grab them. You know, Microsoft swooped in, beat them. You know, so yeah. But Sony complaining that they can't survive without Call of Duty, it's not true. You got Square Enix, that's one. You got all them exclusives that you have, so you'll be fine. You just got to revive your shooters. And then there's EA with Battlefield. Sony will be fine, man. Sony will be fine. Anyway, leave this video for y'all to enjoy. Nice talking to you people again. Chris, still a Star Wars and Star Trek thing. Or Dark Side. Come on.